President Nixon in the Yom Kippur War in '73 saved Israel, overruled Henry Kissinger, Schlesinger, who were quibbling about these. I don't care, just load on the planes and ship everything we can over to Israel.
What motivated him to do that?
It came from the heart. It's one of those great moments where he just did it. Damn the torpedo, just get it done. And that,
as a son-in-law, this is something that you is something that you saw from up close?
Sure, we were living in the White House at the time, and it was a time when our ally needed us, and he was going to be there for Israel. And it was very momentous. It's interesting, several weeks later, after the Israeli army, knowing it was being resupplied, they went on the offensive, of course, and trapped Sadat's armies in the southern Sinai. And then at that point, President Nixon said, stop, let's save face for Sadat. And that set up the whole relation, kept the Russians out from then until President Obama let them back in. And it put us on both sides and led to much better relations between Israel and its neighbors in the end.
Were you also aware back then of any opposition to 100% support of Israel?
Well, the interesting opposition on technical grounds came to Secretary of State Kissinger and Secretary of Defense Schlesinger. They were bringing up quibbles, oh, we shouldn't do this, we got to use unmarked planes, we can't land in Spain or this or that. And President Nixon just overcame all those objections and said, just load up planes and get them going.
Before we talk about the current administration, regarding the Obama administration, how do you explain what happened there? It was obvious that it wasn't the same as the days of Nixon.
No, and the important thing is the Russians were out, Americans were in on both sides, and were able to bring about the much better relations that then evolved from that. Obama didn't understand that, and of course, he just on political grounds to show how bad his policies with respect to Israel were. We won the old 9th Congressional District in Queens, the most Jewish district in the United States. They picked David Weprin, who I believe is here tonight. We're great friends. But he was their candidate, a very well-known Jewish family here. Father had been Speaker of the Assembly in New York State. We picked, actually, a Catholic to run, and we won. And the whole issue was Obama's Israeli policies. And Ed Koch supported our candidate, and it just proved how bad for Israel Obama's policies were, that on the ground here in the most Jewish congressional district, he lost, and he had to revise them because of that in his subsequent speech he gave to the end, because he understood the politics were not in his favor because of what he was doing.
And when you look at the current administration, the current relations?
That's why I brought up '73 war, because currently Israel is in bigger danger than it's ever been since the start of the Yom Kippur War in '73. You now have assisted by the Russians, you have the Iranians, and you have Hezbollah right on the border there, more than 100,000 really high-grade missiles, not the ones that were used from the Gaza Strip, but much better missiles aimed at Israel now. And so there's a standoff there. And you have Iran, of course, and right on the border of the Golan Heights. And and the Trump administration in the middle of this said, okay, we're going to move our embassy to Jerusalem. That is saying we support Israel 100%. Now, that is a signal to those who would do Israel harm. The United States is going to stand by it 100%, as it did in the Yom Kippur War. And that's the point I was trying to make with respect to your first question.